Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, God, for waking us up this morning, oh God. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to fellowship, oh God. Thank you, God, for putting the mission and the vision in Rayshawn to be able to create a book and write a book to be able to help so many women, oh God. Thank you, oh God, for just providing a place, oh God. Thank you for the resources, oh God. Thank you for our family and our friends, our love, our support, oh God.
And I think, Rayshon, this is a great book that you wrote, and I think the title is perfect because this will help other young ladies and some grown women, not just young girls, but to, dig deep inside themselves and see that you went through a struggle, you're beautiful, you're successful, you got things going on for yourself, and that, it's not a front, it's real life, so this can help them. They're like, oh, she went through that too? Oh, she don't even look like she went through that.
Exactly.
Oh, me too. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't know your story.
Right.
So this will actually help. I think this is a great idea. And
even
I
if
can't
it
wait
just
to
saves
read it.
one person, it's definitely worth it.
Lord, we ask that you just join all of us together, oh God. We pray that you give us the desires of our heart, oh God, and help us to have peace and be content in the places that we are until you elevate us and move us forward. We love you. We thank you. We will go all the time in your mercy and close forever. Thank you for your word. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
So what were some of the challenges with being a single parent?
Well, I'm a single parent of 2 children. And it wasn't hard at first. It just came to kind of natural because I was around a lot of strong women in my teenage years, like, Tamika's mother and aunties and things like that. But it didn't get difficult until my kids were like in high school, when I saw that I needed the other absent parent there. But other than that, I felt it wasn't hard at first. It made me want to get out and do things, make sure that I didn't have to rely on the system or somebody else taking care of my responsibility. So it wasn't hard. It didn't get hard until high school.
So for me, I just remember I had my child in high school. And I just had to really take responsibility as a parent. I still partied, but I made sure I went to school, went to college, and I had a job full time. But it was hard getting on buses. Trying to go to school, still trying to hang out with all of you guys. It was rough, and sometimes I think about that I failed because I didn't put all the time and effort that I should have, that children deserve. A lot of times we're young, we have children, but we haven't finished living ourselves, and we still want to party, we still want to do so much, and we leave our children with our parents or other people. But the wise and responsible thing to do is to take care, and you got to make sacrifices as a parent. You have to make sacrifices and put your own wants and needs aside and to take care of your children and do we had them, so we have to do everything that we can. They're entitled to living good and the extracurricular activities. My daughter, fortunately, she was able to travel to Australia and New Zealand, but it was a struggle trying to raise that money, and but they deserve these things. So single parenting was definitely a struggle for me.
Okay, well for me, I have one daughter, and I didn't find it extremely hard to raise her because I knew I had to do what I had to do to basically raise her.
So support systems.
Right, and I had support systems in place, but along with that, I did, have to work 2 jobs, whereas I guess the struggle came in as kind of like living paycheck to paycheck. I guess that would be what the struggle was. But I did provide for her. We had our own place. You know, she didn't need or want anything. And she did have her dad in her life. But with that, I can honestly say her dad did not have much sacrifice with him. So I think with parents, it's, okay, my daughter needs this. So it's like, what can I do to get it? I have to go out, I have to work 2 jobs and make sure she have it. Whereas with her dad, it's, I don't have it, and that's it. It's no sacrifice with it. It's not, you know, going the extra step to trying to get it. So that's what made me work harder to not be on welfare and provide for my daughter. So I guess if we're going to talk about the struggle, it was just the struggle of just working so hard, always, you know, just being tired all the time, and just having to do things alone. But other than that, you know, I love my daughter. And just to say to the people out there, if you do have a child and you're young, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, I do recommend you be married and, you know, just build that family bond before you do it, just so that you can have that support of raising your child. But it's not the end of the world, and you can do it, and you can support your child and live a wonderful life.
Okay, I would have to say my struggle would be 2 things. My grandfather passed the year that my daughter was born, and my grandfather was a pastor who founded a church, which means he had a whole congregation of people following him. And my struggle was being a young mother, being pregnant at the age of 20, and worrying about what people would think about him because his only grandchild got pregnant out of wedlock. Going further on down the line, I would have to say my second struggle is not really getting to know who my daughter's father was before I got into that situation. My daughter is now getting ready to go to high school, and it's a challenge not knowing, you know, the roots of her other side of her family, her not spending time with them, and I do everything in my power to provide and protect for my daughter. However, I cannot be the man, and there's so many men out here who take care of their girls, and I just can't fill that void for her. So the struggle is being that one parent, just trying to provide and protect for her and let her know, you know, how she's supposed to be treated growing into her years as being a young lady. I'm thankful to have my family, my grandmother, my mom, my aunts, my good friends, more like sisters who are older than me, who I've watched, who paved the way for me. But I think those would have to be 2 of my struggles. And the one thing I will say is my grandfather never looked at me different, and even though he pastored this church, it was never like he kept anything hidden. It was like he, you know, regardless, he was still proud of me, and I just had to work hard, and that's what I have to continue to do for the next couple of years until she's an adult.
I talk about in this book that I met some young girls, like 14, and being a mentor to young girls. They express they want to have children, someone they love, but they don't know the realities of it, like all that it entails. You know, there's a lot, you know, and to properly raise a child, there's sacrifices, and we have to really consider these things before we lay down with somebody.
You know, sometimes people young men and women make the wrong decision because of the cycle that their parents lived, and so forth and so on. You have parents that, okay, I live right here, and then my aunt lived 2 buildings down, and you know, and they glorify what you see outside. You know, the guys in the street in the nice cars, the guy looking fly at the club, and you're not getting to know what's behind what you see. And then you think, oh, if I have a baby, my baby gonna dress fly, he gonna look good, I'm gonna be fly because this my man. You don't think about life insurance for your kid, health insurance for your kid, you know, the things behind the monetary things that is going to come if you're dealing with this guy. You don't know if he can read a damn book. but you know, he looked good, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, this gonna be my guy. And if I have a baby with him, he gonna take care of it. You don't know if he got 3 kids on the way or anything. You haven't gotten to know if this is where he really live. Or, you know, you have to get to know the person, and you have to express it. You have to know if he respects his mother, then he gonna respect you. If he don't respect his mother, run. You gotta know if he fears somebody. If he got fear for God, he know if he deal with you hurting you, it's like hurting and disrespecting him. So you have to be mindful of who you're dealing with. You have to. And if you deal with the person and then you grow up and you get to become a woman and you look back and you're like, oh, if I could change anything, I don't regret my children, but I would have gotten to know this person a little more. I would have got myself in a situation where I don't have to go in this stuff. I can, you know, when my child is born, I got a support system that's going to maintain and help me when I feel like I'm cracking. Because having a child and not having a father there leads into depression, stress, all type of things. Because you no longer can live that life that you lived before you had that child.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's real having a kid and not taking the proper step.
Right. And I talk about also in this book of getting to know that person and getting to know their family. I know there's situations where this family, their house is unkept, but this person has to send their child there. They never got to know this family first. But they have to send their child over there, and there's no way around it because the court is going to order you to let this other parent have visitation, and you have to send the child there. So, I mean, it's so many things that comes along with the relationships. We have to start making better choices in our relationships.
And one last thing I think about you mentoring the younger girls, I find that a lot of younger girls say they want kids because there is something missing within them. So hopefully reaching out to mentor these young women will let them know that that void will not be filled by having a baby, because it's not as easy as it seems. There's something missing and they're looking for love, so they want to have babies so that they can have something to love. And that's the issue. Once again, it goes back to being a single mom where the father is not there, and you can do 99% of everything you want to do for your child, but you can still not be that father. And that 1% can go into a 14 or 15-year-old who feels like, well, my father's not here, he's with another family, or he just, doesn't care, or he doesn't have a job, or this is more important, and they feel like they want something to love. So I think that's a good idea, mentoring the young women and letting them know that there's other ways to fill that void besides going out here and having a baby.
My name is Tanya Harris, and I'm highly support I'm Worth It, The Voice of Reason by Rayshawn Clark. The book was so inspiring. It really speaks on the importance of being prepared and letting God lead you and not jump into decisions without God's permission and without praying about it. The book really resonated to me because for me, I was married and I'm still married for 12 years. I got married in 5 months, and at that point, my decision to get married was based on living right, not sleeping with different guys. I wanted to just do the right thing, what I thought was the right thing. And so I got married to a nice guy, but he wasn't the guy for me. And it's not that he wasn't the guy for me because he's not a great guy. It's because I made a decision and then asked God to bless my decision after I made a decision, as opposed to asking God to lead me and letting him choose the man for me. And so because of that, after 12 years of marriage, my marriage has been very complicated. In all marriages, you're going to have your ups and downs, but I really didn't marry my best friend because I got married so fast. So I would highly suggest for any woman reading this book, or just in general, to make sure that you actually get to know a person. You get a chance to see how they handle stress. You get a chance to see how they interact with their family. And especially if you're thinking about having children, like really have those serious conversations on there. morals, their principles, even like the what would you do if this happened? Because once you commit to a marriage, it's a commitment, and the commitment then becomes about God, and it should be, but you don't want to be in a marriage where you are unhappy. So again, I highly suggest this book. It's an outstanding book for all women, and I just hope that this book will be able to touch millions and millions as it has touched me.
And I think we have to, as older women, we have to grab hold of some of the young women and just show them, you know, maybe they don't have anybody in their life, to show them, you know, there's so much. And same thing like being single. You know, enjoy your singleness. Singleness is a gift. It's a time to grow stronger in God. It's a time to celebrate life, because once you get married, you know, your focus change, your priorities change, and you know, you have to kind of tend to your family and tend to your husband, whereas singleness is a gift. It's a time for you to grow spiritually. Yeah, and that's what I try to tell the younger generation too. It's a time for you to get to know God, get to know yourself, come whole within yourself before you decide to get with another partner and you're not whole. And that's when all the other issues arise, because you haven't come whole in yourself. You really don't know yourself. But
Yeah, definitely. I just think that as a child, just have fun. Just, you know, read. Don't look at the stuff on TV. You know, these reality shows, they try to, oh my God, you try, and these guys, like my son now, he's into music and he raps, and I'm listening to his music and I'm like, what you say? Where that come from? You don't even know this life that you're speaking about. And I've lived in some of the roughest neighborhoods, but I kept him away from that. You know what I'm saying? When we leave out the door, we're on our way somewhere. When we come in the house, that's our space. And to hear him rap about this stuff now, I'm like, look at your father, but I'm not. Because I didn't get to know him, and now with him being at the age he is, that's the life he glorifies. And that's what I try to keep my son away from. And my daughter too, because she can't go and say,
we have to give them different options.
yeah, she can't go to him and say, well, you know, this guy said this about me. He can't tell her, no man should say this is that, no, because that's who he is. He's telling her to stay away from the people who he is actually. You know what I'm saying? So it's wicked. You have to think about other stuff. Career day. Who comes to career day? Police, firefighters. It's so many other jobs.
Right.
I'm gonna find an astronaut. Bring him to somebody's career day.
The world is toxic, and we definitely have to be set apart from the world. We have to take hold of our children, and we have to show them a different way.
All right, action.
This book by Rayshawn Clark speaks about godly relationships. And we're here to talk about today a little bit about our relationships, or relationship, as I should say, in reference to how we started off in the beginning. We were in the world, you know, basically just doing our own thing, no relationship with God. And then as things got rough, or should I say, things took a turn, you know, and we started to understand that this is not the life that God would have us to live. And so I'll let my wife go ahead and speak a little bit about, you know, how she feels things, you know, went on, and then I'll go and follow up behind her.
Okay, I wanted to start by saying that my husband and I we met each other 19 years ago. We both agree on how we met. I mean, when we met, but we don't agree on how we met. His story, of course, is a lot more elaborate than my story is. We had two very different upbringings. Don was raised in the church. He didn't have any option. I went periodically with my family. It wasn't something that we had to do all the time. So we just have two different foundations as it relates to God and our relationship.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that, I didn't have an option. My mother was like, every day that I get up to go to church, you're getting up to go to church. And so, you know, that was cool when you're younger, but as I reached 18 and I left the house, I started to think, hey, why do I have to go to church? I'm grown now and I got my own place and I'm not going to church. And for a number of years, it was a hit or miss type deal with me. I went and then I didn't go, and I went and then I didn't go. And then I met my wife in '96. We had a good time. I was in the streets wilding, doing my thing, and it got to a point where I had just gotten tired of going from club to club to club, hanging out, running with this person, hanging out with the fellas, doing that. And so, 97, I said that was it. I'm gonna give my life to God. We're gonna start turning this thing over. And so 97, 98, she got pregnant, we got married. And the first 5 years of a relationship, they say, is the roughest. Just like a business, if your business is going to succeed, then more than likely you pass that 5-year mark. And in the beginning, I guess it's rough because you still want to do certain things that you were doing when you were boyfriend and girlfriend, or that you were doing when you were single, and it just don't work. It just doesn't work. And so you have to start giving God the glory. You have to start putting God in your life, because without Him, nothing is going to work, period. So you can say, well, no, I know Him. No, you really have to know Him in order for this thing to work. And because marriage is not an easy task by far, not even easy.
No,
I will also suggest that all women to really make sure that you are whole within yourself before you try to join another a guy in the relationship, because if you're not whole within yourself, you will make decisions that really affect you in the long run. And of course, because I'm still in this process, it doesn't mean that the story is written. If you pray and my husband prays and I pray, who knows how God will join the relationship back together. But it has to be God, and it can't be me trying to jump ahead in front of Him. We have to be whole. We have to let God work through us, so that when we do, and if we do come back together, that the relationship will be healthier and stronger. And it's not because of something that we've done on our own, but because we know that it was nothing but God that did it. So.
All marriages go through. In the beginning, I don't think that we handled them the way that we should have handled them before accepting God in our life. But once we did, I think that made a big change in how we handled them, because we were accountable to not just one another, but we were also accountable to God and how we handled our obstacles with one another.
And so moving forward, like she said, the first 5 years they were rough. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be with you either. Hey, okay, we're cool this day. I don't want to be with you this day. And like you said, that's just some of the things that you're going to go through in a marriage, because these are two people that are trying to get to know one another. And you never know anybody until you live with them, period, point blank. But moving forward, as we started to put Christ in our life and understanding that, hey, we're going to church, we're reading our word, we're doing what the Lord would have us do, it made this thing get that much easier, and it gave me a new love for her. I fell in love with her even deeper then, and it just made you realize what you really have. And that's part about walking with God, the part about walking with God that you really get to see that when you start walking and doing what He has you to do, things are not as hard as they used to be. You don't stress as much as you used to, because you know His word, and He doesn't give you the sense of fear. He doesn't put that spirit in you of fear, and you're just able to make it, because through Christ strengthens me. Not to mention, you start thinking about all of the other things that come along with marriage and doing what God would have you do. Because if you do what He has you do, you don't have to worry about Him chastising you or punishing you. So you don't worry, you don't think about, hey, I'm gonna go get me another girlfriend, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm not gonna come home, and all of those things. You don't have to worry about getting STDs, that type of stuff is real. And you got people that's coming home infecting their wives or their husbands on a daily basis, and I don't have to worry about that because we're doing what the Lord would have us do.
One thing I wanted to add as far as having just a Christian partner or spouse is a true blessing because you have one another. The walk alone, marriage is one thing, you have your Christian walk, but I think having someone there with you that can encourage you, help you with reading your Bible, understanding your Bible, just living that life, it makes a difference. Just to have that person there with you to go through it, it makes a world of difference.
And we're not actors, we are actually believers of God. This is not a promo, we're not getting paid to do this. We love Jesus, that's it, and that's all.
I agree.
So I touch on many issues, and like I said, God led me to write this, and I'm prayerfully that it touches somebody and just causes somebody to start making some better choices, because I really believe we're living recklessly, and I've done it. I'm not judgmental because I've lived it life, and
I think we all have. We've all had some things we be like, like, I shouldn't have done that.
but once you know better, hopefully you'll do better.
You're like, I don't know him.
So like I said, hopefully it can reach one person. Like you said, we're not here to be judgmental of other people because we've been there, but even if it just reaches one person, to stop them, to prevent them, because there's so many things that go along with that, self-esteem, depression, a lot of different things. So hopefully this will make a difference in maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, many lives.
Hopefully many.